out, and that's why we are where we need to be. So now I'm going to head into some real basic housekeeping stuff. You are all muted by default. So when you come into the room, you're muted by default. We're going to ask that you put your questions in the chat window, and we will have a question and answer session at the end of each segment. And if you want, at the end of each segment, we have someone monitoring the chat, and they will be able to read your question. If your question is not in there at the end of the segment, feel free to use your little icon hand and raise your hand, and one of our moderators will address you as long as we have the time. If we don't have the time, we do have calendar links. So the speakers, all of these magnificent people who have volunteered their time, their expertise, and their knowledge to come out and help us with these with on the agenda today. If you have additional questions for them, you want to hear more information about their topic, meet with any of them for any other reason, they have been kind enough to open their calendars for us. So you'll find the links to their calendars. Actually, you'll find the links to their calendars in the shared drive, which should be in the chat window, and we can repost that. Chris, can we do that? Can we keep reposting that link so people have it handy?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, and then one thing that we discovered is sometimes the links we discovered are a little bit sometimes. I think that they're boy links rather than girl links, maybe. So sometimes they'll click you right over where you're trying to go, and then sometimes they won't. But in that case, just do a copy and paste. Copy it out of the window and paste it into your browser, and you should be just fine. I want to now let me thank Adara for creating that shared drive for us and bringing that information to us. I want to thank each speaker for bringing your unique knowledge and expertise. I want to thank you for donating your time, and most of all, I want to thank you for stepping up for our community, stepping up for our children. Thank you for stepping up for my children during this critical and historical time. I want to thank, I already thanked our partners, but here's what I have here. I want to thank our partners. So I'll thank our partners again, the California Black Business Chamber, and I want to thank the SBA for partnering with us to bring these amazing speakers and this valuable information to us. A special thank you to the Chamber and to Mr. Alaric Scott for allowing us to use their premium Zoom conference room. That helps out a lot. You don't get kicked out after a few minutes, and you can have an unlimited number of participants and visitors. So much for that. And then before I introduce our speakers, I want to thank Chris Lodson and Alaric Scott for hosting and moderating the room today. And a very special thank you to Alaric Scott of the Chamber for providing technical and logistical leadership to help make this conference happen. It's a pleasure. It is absolutely a pleasure working with Mr. Scott. And so now on to our agenda and our speakers. Okay, so if you'll bear with me, I'm going to turn to this monitor over here. Okay, so the first person we're going to hear from today is the president of the California Black Business Chamber. It's Mr. Jay King, and I will go through and tell you more about Mr. King in a second, but I'm going to go through the whole list of speakers first. The second person that we'll hear from today is Ms. Delanda K. Coleman, Esquire, and she is from the law offices of Delanda K. Coleman. The third person we'll hear from is Mr. Corey Williams. Mr. Williams is the Public Information Officer with the Small Business Administration. Then we're going to take a 10-minute break. And then we are going to come back to hear from Adara Phillips, who is the Senior Accountant and owner of Zip Business Services. and then we will, and we're actually going to hear from her on 2 segments. Now, we did have a segment scheduled for today. We would go over the state funding packages. The information for the state funding package hasn't really been fleshed out yet, or even out in a solid form. But we do have some speakers lined up who are willing to help us with that. So we're going to move that to probably next week's agenda, if not next week, then the following. But I think next week, because the idea here is to have our businesses prepared as soon as possible. We don't want to wait any longer than we absolutely have. And then finally, we are going to close with our Taking Action segment, and that's going to be led by Chris Lodson, who is the president of the board for MaxReach for economic equity, and also of SAC Black Biz. Okay, and Mr. King, Jay King, a veteran mogul, 3 decades of achievement in the music industry, music management, film, television, radio, consulting, and publishing. Music led Mr. King on a journey of writing and producing like no other. He has worked with some of the top names in the industry and started the independent record label J Records, where he released Rumors and ushered in the biggest selling single of 1986 with 3.5 million copies sold. It quickly became the #1 R&B single on the Billboard chart. And to be honest with you, I could discuss Mr. King's accomplishments, accolades, and pioneering legacy in the music industry and more time than we have allocated for this conference. He continues to manage musical talent, and he hosts a morning talk show, Kings in the Morning. And of course, we all know him as the radio personality that keeps us company on our drive. He's with us today as the president of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, keeping his finger on the pulse of the Black business scene. It is an honor for him to join us today to present the state of Black business in California. Mr. King, I will stop sharing my screen and thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me. It's interesting because I get a lot of credit for things that other people, and it's not a mistake. It's not just arbitrarily that you say Mr. Alaric Scott's name several times, because he will one day be the president of the California Black Chamber. And it's because of him, Ruth. I think I'm saying Ruth. What's so funny, I don't know how to say Ruth's last name because I only call her Baby Ruth at the office. But Ruth, I believe it's Ruth Aortis. I hope I'm saying it right, but Ruth is she keeps the office going. Angela, who really is asset to the chamber, Angela Carter and Mr. Chris Gordon, they run the chamber really so that I'm able to get out and do the things that I need to do. And also Mr. Tristan Mays, who is the real star at our radio station, and of course Leon Guidry, who does Sundays. And then Marvell Reed is the person who keeps that radio station together. He's our general manager. And then we have a plethora of volunteers come in and help when we need them. And so that's what makes the chamber work, is the great team that we have. And that's why we're able to do the things that we're doing right now. And partnerships with folk like you. And so the job that I do really allows me to say thank you to the, when we sit in these seats, it's important that we know that we must be selfless. These are seats that you have to be a giver in. If you are looking for accolades or pats on the back and such, it's not a good job for you. This is a job where we have to be givers to our community. We have to be honest enough to look at the stalemate that we've been in as a community and say we have to do better and we have to be better. And as state president, the chamber state president, my job is to make the chamber better for the next legacy that comes up, Mr. Alaric Scott, that when he takes over this chamber, that he takes over a powerhouse. We live in the 5th largest economy in the world, and we should be generators of capital, because there are 2.3 million African Americans in the state of California. We make up 6% of the population. We spend $96 billion a year in the state of California. We drive the economy. We are economy drivers. So prior to COVID-19, the California Black Chamber's directive was to educate African American small business owners in the areas of building systems and protocols that would help them become stronger economic engines in their communities, the cities that they're situated in, as well as throughout the state of California. So we created partnerships with the SBA and PTAC to help us meet this goal by sponsoring workshops and programs to help develop business plans, business strategies, best practices, business disciplines, and marketing schemes that would help them build strong roots in the communities they were situated in, while also stretching outside of the communities that they lived in. We also used our outreach power through our community radio voice, 97.5 KDEE, to build strategic partnerships with Caltrans, District 10 and District 3 in particular, and the high-speed rail. We hosted 2 Caltrans small business workshops for disadvantaged businesses, disadvantaged veteran businesses, and small business owners. And we also did one small business event with the high-speed rail. As a statewide chamber, we were really moving towards a strong 2020 for our African-American small business owners. And we were in the first phase of a 4-phase plan to help build capacity in all sectors throughout the state of California. Unfortunately, before we could implement all of our plans and strategies, COVID happened and completely changed our direction and mission to saving African-American small business owners who were already in a disadvantaged position for a myriad of reasons, mostly based in prejudice, biased, and bigoted practices, both past and present. Because of COVID-19, we've changed our mission from capacity building to education, from capacity building, education and business foundation strength building, to simply African-American small business survival. We're now working 7 days a week to help with the filling out of applications for the SBA and other loan programs, answering questions about different opportunities, engaging fears and solutions African-American small business owners are now facing, and questions like, why is the stimulus package ignoring the needs of the African-American small business community? So I just want to give you some historical information. 95% of all African-American small business owners are sole proprietors, meaning only 5% of American businesses have 1 employee or more. Minority-owned businesses receive lower loan amounts than non-minority. As a result, are forced to leverage more of their own cash to run their own businesses. African-American businesses have fewer employees than the average small business owner. Without capital, it's tough to invest in the future. African Americans make up more than 13% of the US population, but only own 7% of the businesses in the United States. Racism, discrimination, and predatory lending are all factors because many aspiring Black business owners have been unfairly turned down by banks when applying for small business loans. There is a lack of economic and business resources in African American communities. This leads to a lack of education on how to properly start and manage a successful business. 38% of Black businesses are in healthcare and social assistance, repair and maintenance, and personal and laundry services. Other categories include advertising firms, auto dealerships, consulting services, restaurants, beauty care, and more. Of the 2 million plus businesses, only about 107,000 of them have employees. Such firms employ more than 920,000 people with a total annual payroll of $23.9 billion. Now, this was all true before COVID-19. African American small business owners are in peril. We are the weakest economic engine in the country, and COVID-19 can decimate our business community if we don't do something about it. In a News One article dated April 13th, 2020, titled, "Will COVID be the death knell to Black businesses?" it stated, last month, the federal government passed the $2.2 trillion Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, or CARES Act. It was landmark legislation designed to shore up out-of-work Americans and struggling businesses. As part of the bill, the Congressional Black Caucus negotiated $10 million in grants specifically for Black-owned businesses. Out of $2 trillion, we negotiated $10 million in grants specifically for Black-owned businesses. But the Black business bailout amounted to less than $4 for each of the 2.6 million African American businesses in the country. If we're going to be a difference maker and cause an impact statewide, we must start by examining the state of African American business communities, city by city, and do something that's never been done before, the history of this state or the country. And that's make the survival of African American small business communities a priority. Now, there are federal dollars coming here in Sacramento that we are going to make sure African American small business people get a piece of. But this has to happen around the country. And Angela Wiggins says something very important. This is a time for us to show who we are, to show how selfless we are, to be the givers that we would hope somebody would be if we were in trouble. So we as the state chamber, we started a GoFundMe campaign called Everybody Pitch In. And there are 2.3 million African Americans in the state of California. So if every one of us put $5 in, we'd have $11.5 million to help our African American businesses in the state of California. So all you have to GoFundMe.com and type in Everybody Pitch In with the first campaign right there. It says Sacramento. And what I'm hoping is that we all pitch in, and not just pitch in, but that you tell your family and your friends to pitch in, especially if you're a small business. Pitch in because you're really pitching in to help yourself. The idea for me is that we become solution-based. We know what the problem is. The problem has always existed in this country. It existed in 1619. It exists today. But it's up to us to be the difference maker. And I believe it's forums like this that will allow that to happen. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking to you all. I will take questions. I want to say that we are creating some very interesting partnerships at the Chamber with Caltrans, with Cola's cannabis company. We got 55 people hired over the last 3 weeks in the cannabis industry because it's deemed essential. And we want to go further than just getting people hired. We want to build entrepreneurs and business people inside that cannabis industry. You know, we've suffered from it, from the cannabis industry negatively. Now we should impact positively by the legalization of it. Thank you guys, and if you have any questions, I'm here.
Hi, Jay. Angela Moore here. I love the idea of everything you talked about. I think it's absolutely essential. I think it's a great way to move forward from here. My personal question would be, do we have a place, and I'm talking, the chamber here as part of the chamber, do we have something in place, funds that are raised and how they're going to be distributed? Has something like that already been laid out? And it may be more than you want to discuss here today.
No, I definitely want to discuss it. We're in the middle of putting everything together because, as you know, we're not going to raise $10 million overnight. But so this is what's going to happen. Each chamber that is affiliated with the state chamber will be allocated dollars based on need. They will be responsible for getting the money out into their communities. Our job is to get it to those chambers. 90% of the money that we collect go to the businesses. 2.9% of it goes to GoFundMe. 7.1% goes to the administration of the money for the chambers themselves, because it costs money to administer money. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but it literally costs. Of that 90%, 70% of that will go to businesses that are part of those chambers. But the other 30% will go to businesses that are outside of the chamber, but that are in the communities.
Gotcha.
So just because the chamber is raising the money, don't mean that the chamber is going to keep all of it. Of course, we want to take care of many of our members as we possibly can, but we also want to take care of the community that the chambers are based in. What we're hoping is that it will build the strength of the chamber and bring more businesses into the chambers. So the great part about it is it will all be transparent. Nobody will be able, so there won't be, you can't just tell us, well, we need $250,000. We got to see those businesses. We have to know that those businesses exist. We have to know who's getting what money and why, because what we don't want to happen, and this is what we have to do better as a community, is if you don't need it, don't take it. If you've already received grants and loans, then don't stop somebody else who hasn't received anything. So that's why we created the fund, was for people who didn't qualify to get any money. And we can't make anybody whole. Nobody will end up in this thing okay. Job is to take as much of the sting as we possibly can off and to keep you afloat for as long as we can. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hi, we have a question from Zion. Zion, you have your hand up?
Yes. So my question is that, Jay, I know you're doing a great job with everything else, but I still cannot understand how our leaders like you guys are just settling for 10 million and instead of fighting. We are 13%, including probably other Black and Africans and other people. We probably be 20%. I believe still we are in Sacramento, the fifth economy that runs the fifth economy in the whole world. We can still demand 20% of the fund from the governor, even from the city, from the mayor. Because the way I see it, we are the last people they think about, because I don't feel like we have a fight. Obviously, you guys fight, not enough people fighting to demand that. This is what is eye-opening. We don't need to think about the past or other people and this and that, but as Black people, we have every single right to ask 20% off, especially when we are the one who's left behind from generation to generation, and they say, oh, we'll pay it through economy. So why don't they give us that money so we could distribute it to the businesses who needs it even the most, which are the Black businesses that we can lift up. So I still believe that we can, all of us, write to the governor demanding that 20% to our Black businesses.
Okay,
You see what I mean? Otherwise, to the governor himself.
can I respond to you? So
Yeah.
the $10 million, it's not my, that didn't come from me. It come from the Congressional Black Caucus. That's at a national level, okay? The $10 million that I'm talking about is being raised by my own community. It's us helping ourselves. We make up 6% of the population in the state of California. There's 137,000 African-American businesses in the state of California. You're not gonna get 20% of anything you don't make up. You're not even close to 20% of the population. So that's not gonna happen. And you're not 20% of the business population. So we have to be realistic in our ask.
But are they giving us that 60%, 6% too?
So we have to be realistic in our ask. We have had weak leadership, not just in the state of California, but in the United States as a whole for a number of years. And the reason why we know that is all we have to do is look at our communities. So we have to take some responsibility as a community. Yeah. We don't vote. We don't use our political equity. We're not financially literate, and we don't have leadership that's spoken to us in terms of financial literacy, investing in the stock market, saving, and such. So while I understand your frustration, that's not going to help us. Frustration ain't going to help us now. What's going to help us today is pragmatism, methodical planning, and critical thinking. If we do those things as a community, and emotions don't win for us. We've been emotional enough. Today, we have to be more critical, and pragmatic, and methodical, in my opinion. And that's how I run the chamber, is how I'm doing the movement, and it's and it's how I believe we're going to get things done. But I don't disagree. We have a bigger piece of the pie, and again, we got to look at the people that we have, and it's embarrassing to me that state senators, national senators, and our national Congress people would put $10 million in a stimulus package of $2.2 trillion.
Yeah.
And boast about it.
That's yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to say, for example, we have examples from examples to example. Let's say last Friday, the governor went there on TV and saying that we're going to help small businesses, especially restaurants, to be feeding seniors so that, they pay us and we support the seniors and all that. The mayor, exactly the next day, on Saturday, I have recorded it, and saying that they're going to include Black businesses so that we can benefit because we didn't get anything. That he said that he put three white people, not representing us at all, so on his task force to reach out to us. Today, Saturday, nobody has reached out to me.
Well,
I had to reach out to them, and now people, we have 300 seniors starving, sitting in the South area, still sitting on it. No, because they're feeding their own people first.
Let me say this. That's not correct. You have Lynette Hall, who was the community engagement manager. Who
emailing her, I haven't heard from her. Listen, nothing so far.
Let me, because this thing doesn't happen overnight. Not one meal has gone out to anybody. So this is where you have to exercise patience and humility.
No. I don't. I'm not going to do that anymore. Look, we've been doing that, waiting for them to do all these things for us. They never come through.
Chris, I think you need to put her on mute. You can't interrupt me.
I don't have the mute ability on my end, but let's let Jay answer, and then we'll get some other questions in. And thanks, Zion.
Lynette Hall, who was the community engagement manager for the city of Sacramento, is one person. And we have thousands of businesses and hundreds of restaurants in Sacramento. It's interesting that you say that, because she spoke of you today This morning I spoke to her, and she spoke your name. So whether anybody has reached out to you or not, doesn't matter, that you're on their radar. And again, it's not $1 has been spent anywhere. And if listen, you can do it any way you want to. You can either be angry about it, or you can listen and take the advice that that you're being spoken about, and that you are going to be you're going to be included in it. So I believe oftentimes, I look at this as sometimes, if a bill collector's calling you and yelling at you and telling you that you got to pay that bill, are you going to pay that bill collector? Or if somebody calls you and says, hey, I know you're going through some tough times, is it possible for us to make some type of payment plan? And maybe that person will get through first, just because of optics and the way approach. So sometimes I think, emotions are what we use the wrong way. Sometimes we're too angry when we discuss things, and we have to be a little more pragmatic. And that's, to me, and it's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but I deal with pragmatism and methodology to get what I want to get done. I get a lot of things done, and it's because
I agree with you, but I'm just saying, look, the thing I'm saying, on the 4th, they're going to be with Lynette, and then the thing is going to end on the 11th. So they praying on that we're not ready.
No, it's not. It's not true. But if you have any problems, you should call me at the chamber. I know it's not true, but you can call me.
But I'm just going from what I see.
So Zion, let me
inside. They're just going to give their own friends and family first, which is Fresher Sacramento already distributing food.
Chris, come on, man, you guys are gonna do this.
And I don't have the mute power, but let's definitely get some other questions in. We have a question here from Nick Hill with the Kern County Black Chamber. He's the president.
Hey, Nick.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Jay. How's it going?
I'm fine. How are you?
Okay, first off, I want to thank you for changing my way of thinking in this California high-speed rail arena as well, because, I've been on that business advisory council for the last 3 years, but there were some things that just came up this year that you enlightened me on, so I want to thank you for that. But my question is this. I'd like to know, is there any system in place on our end as far as the state chamber is concerned about getting outreach dollars that's going to benefit us because of the SB1? And SB1 has been in place for a few years now, but it seems to elude the African-American, not only the African-American entrepreneur, but the African-American worker, where they're supposed to allocate the $1.5 million every year for training in the disadvantaged and underserved neighborhoods. And the second thing is CBA, the Community Benefits Agreement, and that's also with the California High-Speed Rail. Yeah. And I'm seeing that there's a lack of funding for outreach. Is there any pressure that we can put on them to have them allocate dollars to the local chambers or even to the state chamber, and let the state chamber allocate the funds to the local chambers to get the outreach out so people can know about these programs?
So let me say, thank you for the question. So first, absolutely, we're going to get SB1 dollars. But as you know, as it relates to Caltrans, we had a change of the guard
Yes.
on our small business council for the betterment, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm of the African American Leadership Committee now. I was set to meet with Tokes Amashaken next week, but this was before COVID. So now that has been put off, but SB1 dollars will be our topic. We should have been getting them. But again, I believe the reason why I've been able to move through the high-speed rail, Caltrans, and warp speed is because of my approach to it. Mm-hmm. When you're beating people up, they got to give you money. you know, they might not give you the money.
It's
You
true.
fight them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you bring a plan that makes sense in a manner that's non-confrontational, and then you let things work out,
Okay.
they work out.
Yes,
So
sir.
yes, you will have, my job as a state is to get you guys as many dollars as I can flowing through your chambers so you can do the work in your communities. And that's what you will see happen. I don't care what industry it's in, whether it's with the high-speed rail, Caltrans, cannabis. That is my job. Even the dollars for small business owners that we're raising through you all. So absolutely, you'll see them. You'll see them sooner than later, because now we're just switching from a face-to-face meeting to what we're doing right now with Zoom. So yes, in the next couple of weeks, you'll probably start hearing about that stuff.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And in the interest of time, one more question for Mr. King, if that's okay. It's coming from Samantha Wall-Ladner, I believe, on the phone. Hey.
Yes, this is from Unlimited Fashions. My question to you, Jay King, I'm seeing in Sacramento over the past maybe 10 years, they have all these new projects that come up. And when these projects come up, I don't see African-American businesses included in the equation. I saw Delco Commons Mall be remodeled along with the Golden One Arena, and I don't see any Black businesses in the new mall downtown. I see the huge, beautiful, brand new shopping center, no Black businesses. They have so many empty spaces, but no Black people included in the equation. I see the new convention center being remodeled, and I know they're going to have like stores or probably included in that huge venue. I don't see them reaching out to Black businesses. I saw the Walmart right off Truxell Road, the whole corridor, Walmart, the shopping centers, all of that redeveloped about maybe 15 years ago, no Black businesses included. I see the paint building downtown. They're about to remodel the old paint building. That whole area is about to be remodeled with stores and shops and apartments, no Black businesses. I see they're talking about the soccer stadium being built. They're going to have concessions. They're going to have food. They're going to have different types of businesses in there. And they don't invite us in. And when we try to get in and call and make contact, there's no success. I tried to get into Delco Commons, but it was so hard to just try to get in. And then if you do get in, then they want to charge all these, high fees. And I just feel like I was reading an article that Sacramento is like one of the top 5 cities in the country where a lot of people are flocking, because a lot of people are leaving the Bay, they're leaving LA. So I see in the next 10 years, these 10 projects that I just mentioned, about 10 I just mentioned, they're going to grow, they're going to expand. And I feel like we're going to be left out. So what is the Chamber doing to make sure we have inclusion in these billion-dollar projects?
Okay, so let me say, so you named a number of things. So when you start talking about retail spaces, most Black businesses can't afford the rents, and you can't make special.
So they need to make it work for us. They need to.
Are you going to let me talk, or are you going to interrupt me?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you talk. Okay.
So most Black businesses cannot. They cannot afford the rent, and this is business. And if you can't, if they can't make special concessions for Black folk, and I don't know if you know Proposition 209. Proposition 209 don't allow for a lot of these things. And if, as a business owner that owns space, square footage, if I give you a rate, then I have to give somebody else a rate. And so the rate is the market value. So what we have to do, our business owners have to become stronger before they step into those types of arenas. And this is where we as a community, if we really, we're recorded as the number 9 to number 11 economy in the world, because in our spending, we spend between 1.2 and 1.5 trillion dollars a year. So we have to, the community, And when it comes to creating financial leverage by investing in ourselves and creating community funds where the community invests in itself, and then or in that business makes money and pays the community. I mean, we got to be a lot smarter. Listen, this is, and I've been the president of the California Black Chamber for 9 months. So what happened 15 years ago or 12 months ago? I don't know. I just know that I'm a businessman and I'm successful at it. I'm successful at business because I know how to put systems and protocols in place. And oftentimes we don't have those systems and protocols in place. And that's why our businesses don't grow past sole proprietorships. And so we have to be honest enough, again, to look at failed at. White folk ain't never been good to us. So for us to look for white folk to be good to us before we're good to ourselves, it's kind of crazy to me. As it relates to what's happening with the soccer field, listen, I'm in talks with those folk now, but those are private dollars, and because they're private dollars, we don't have any real leverage. So again, if you go there trying to hijack somebody, you probably end up with nothing. It's private dollars. You can't force them to do anything. But if you go there with a real plan, if you go there with a real critical thought process, then you probably will become part of those dollars because you've done all the right things to do it. Black people walk around mad a lot. And I just don't have time to be mad. It ain't enough time in the day. If I live to be 80 years old, I'm only living 29,200 days. By the time you take away 8 hours a day and 8 hours a day for working, you got 9,733 days for living. And that's if you live to be 80. So I wake up in the morning looking for solutions. So that's what I do. I create solutions. If there's a problem and somebody bring it to me and they bring it to me the right way, I'm probably gonna help them solve it. If they bring it to me the wrong way, they probably don't get to talk to me again. Because we won't understand each other at all. You won't understand my methodology, and I won't understand why you're yelling.
That's all the questions I think we have. Angie, you want to take it back?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. King, for addressing us and for answering all the questions that were coming from the audience. Everyone who had questions and who still has questions, I just want to thank you so much for your enthusiasm. I want to thank you for your questions, for thinking about where we are and where we want to go, and starting to brainstorm solutions and coming together and making your thoughts and your voices heard. I appreciate everybody chiming in. We do have, of course, we do have a full lineup for you today. We've got other people on the agenda, and I want to go ahead and move us forward.
Can I just say one thing before you do? I just want anybody
absolutely.
who wants to contact me, you can contact me at president@calbcc.org. president@calbcc.org. Give me your number, and I'll call you, and we can chat then.
And we might even, Mr. King, with your permission, we might even be able to pull together a roundtable where we can kind of just have a little time to chat with you. I think that would be great, and I appreciate your leadership, and everyone on the phone. I appreciate your leadership too. I recognize that that chiming in, raising your hand, asking questions, expressing yourself, that is also a part of leadership, and I appreciate that, and I also I recognize what's being said, and I appreciate everything that's being said and everything that's being brought up. I am going to go ahead and keep us moving. I'm very, very excited about our next speaker. This is Ms. Delanda K. Coleman, Esquire. I think I want to say first that when I called Ms. Coleman more or less out of the blue, I had heard about what a great speaker she is. She's a great attorney. She cares a lot about her community, and she's very easy to work with. And within 10 minutes of me being on the call and presenting my ask, she was like, yes, indeed, right there, willing and ready to step up. Ms. Coleman was born and raised in Sacramento, California. She's the youngest of 9 children and the second attorney among her siblings. After graduating from high school, Ms. Coleman accepted employment with the state of California. During her 17-year tenure with the state of California, she attended Sacramento City College, University of Phoenix, and Lincoln Law School of Sacramento. She graduated with the highest of honors from Sacramento City College. She graduated magna cum laude from the University of Phoenix, and she made the fourth year Dean's List at Lincoln Law School of Sacramento. In 2004, she obtained her real estate broker's license and founded Affordable Property Management and its sister company, APM Real Estate Services. Between the two companies, Ms. Coleman was honored to hire and or contract with approximately a dozen employees and or licensed real estate agencies and loan officers. In 2007, Ms. Coleman established the law offices of Delanda Coleman, PC. Since that time, she has worked relentlessly representing over 2,500 clients in various legal matters that include estate and family planning, legacy planning, probate matters, family law, real estate law, tax law, and previously she worked with bankruptcies. Lastly, approximately 30 years ago, Ms. Coleman founded a Big Sister program whereby she, along with other women she recruited, mentored and motivated countless troubled teenage girls. And I just want to, it's my pleasure and an honor to present to you guys today, Ms. Delanda Coleman, Esquire.
Wow, Angela, thank you so much for having me. And I'm going to do an immediate shift. And if you will allow me, this is really spirit-led. And so if you are a believer, I want you to hang with me just for a moment. And if you're not a believer, I want you to tune me out. I want you to turn your speakers down. But I really believe that prayer is needed at this time because a lot of us are hurting as businesses. But I'm going to ask that, again, I'm going to just take a moment, just say a quick prayer to kind of just shift our hearts and minds so that what has been placed on my heart to share with each of you, you're more open to receive it. And so just right now, again, if you're not a believer, in all due respect, please turn your speakers down. For everyone else, please chime in. But Father, we come to you right now in the name of Jesus, Father. And we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for Angie Wiggins. We thank you for President Jay King. We thank you for all of the people who are participating today, the attendees who are present. And Lord, we know that you desire that we trust in you. We know that the system is broken, but you're not broken, God. So today I pray, Father God, that open to what you have for us. There's going to be so much education that takes place as shared. We're going to hear from the SBA. We're going to hear from accountant. We're going to get some great information over the next 3 weeks. Let us be open to that. Let us be open to change. Let us not put our hope in this world, but our hope in you. So, Father, have your way right now. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen.
Amen.
All right, are you ready? Get ready. Okay,
Ready.
So again, my name is Delanda Coleman, and I have been asked to bring just a motivational message to you. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, I want to thank you, Angie Wiggins, for just reaching out to me. I know my calling, and calling is to motivate, and Angie didn't know that, but she trusted me with this, and so thank you for that. Thank you to President Jay King just for speaking and sharing and for your leadership. Thank you to all of the presenters who will be presenting over the next 3 Saturdays, including today. Thank you for that. Attendees, You could be doing anything today. I know we're on a stay-at-home order, but many people are at Costco right now. Many people are at Walmart right now. Many people are outside doing their yard, but you are here. And I'm going to just share with you again, there is a purpose and a plan for you being here. So get ready to receive, for you to receive. Again, my name is Delanda Coleman, and I'm going to just be talking, just encouraging you and motivating you. And my hope is that what I share this morning, or now we're into the afternoon, will literally just be a nugget that will change your life. So I want to ask you to, if you will, without a lot of movement, maybe you can reach forward or reach for your phone that's on silent. I want you to take some notes, because typically people retain only approximately 20% of what they hear. So if I share 100% and you miss out on 80%, you might miss out on a lot. And so I want to encourage you to grab a pen or paper or your phones and just type yourself some notes and just jot down some things that I'm going to share. I'm going to first piggyback on what I call him Doctor, but President J. King shared. And what he talked about is frustration. And that is completely different than the motivation we're going to talk about today. But I learned something years ago from a pastor friend that changed my life. And I pray that what I share with you right now about frustration will change yours. Someone told me, that friend told me, that people do not respond positively to frustration. Catch that. You can be frustrated, but whoever the recipient is hearing you speak, they're not going to respond positively. So whether you call a business to complain or whatever the case may be, you've automatically put the recipient on defense. So oftentimes what I'll do is I'll say, I'm going to be honest, I'm a little frustrated, but I don't want that to come across to you. So I would like to work. I have to tell them I'm frustrated. I do that in the most humble possible way that I can. So let's start off right there. Again, for right now, the next 17 minutes or so that I have to speak, frustration has been moved off the table. It's not allowed in this webinar. So let's go ahead and get going. I want us to consider our lives, and this is, you do it how you want to do it, but I'll tell you how I think about life. I want us to think of our lives as being 4 chapters, okay? Chapter 1 was birth through age 25, and we know about by age 25, we've, finished high school, hopefully, we've been to college, hopefully, or whatever it is, that's the point at age 25 where we should have some direction for the next 25 years of our life. Okay, so chapter 1 is age 0 to 25. Now we get to age 25, and now we're beginning to apply some of the things that we learned in college. As for me, I'm a business major. I'm an accounting major. So in my 25 to 50 years, and then I went to law school, I have applied those skills in chapter 2. Truthfully, I'm now in chapter 3 and proud of it. Okay, so chapter 3 now is, and we need to all consider this, where are we in the chapters of our lives? So in chapter, they called me a mover and shaker. I was doing things. I had all those the real estate agents and the mortgage lenders and employees. But I'm in chapter 3. I'm not moving and shaking like I used to. That's intentional. This year, I will begin collecting my retirement pension from CalPERS. I will continue to work as an attorney, but I don't have to move and shake as fast because I prepared myself for such a time as this. So where are you in your chapter, in your life? What chapter are you in? So let's go ahead and talk about, all of us was given some type of gift. The reason that you're on this call is you're some type of business owner. And as a business owner, I pray that you're operating with your gift, not out of a desire to just make money, not out of a desire to get rich, but you are tapping into your God-given gifts, talents, and abilities. And that is what is making your business successful. I always say that, some can cook, some can clean, some can dance, some can sing. I know what my gift is. My gift is to provide a service to people, to love people, to motivate people. And that's what I'm walking in. Let's talk about motivation. I know that many of you think, you know what, I'm frustrated. I'm not ready to be motivated. I'm ready for things to happen. But I want to talk to you about motivation and how can you become motivated in such a time as this? While we're facing this horrific COVID-19 pandemic, how can you become motivated at such a time as this? And of course, I'm glad that you asked. So I'm a word search person. Even though I've been to school, oftentimes I have to turn to one of my dearest friends, and his or her name is called www.dictionary.com. So when we talk about motivate or motivation, I want to let you know where I'm going to be going for the next now about 15 minutes or less. Motivate. What does it mean? It means to provide with a motive or a cause or a reason to act, to incite, or to impel. I'm going to repeat that. And I want you to catch the action words. Motivate. I'm here to motivate you today, but I want you to learn how to each day to motivate yourself. Again, motivate, the definition means to provide with a motive or a cause or a reason to act. What is your reason to act? The definition of motivation, it's the state or condition of being motivated or having a strong reason to act or accomplish something. Today, I want to motivate you to act, to move, to not sit in a sunken place, to not get frustrated and just stay there. What are you going to do when things get tough? As I shared a little while ago, motivation and the word motivate, they have action words. And some of those action words are act, incite, impel, and accomplish. So this today is not about making you feel good. I can't change your psyche. I can't make you feel good, but I can give you something that you can take with you. That's an action word that you. So in spite of us dealing with this pandemic, this motivational address is intended to stir you up, to encourage you, urge you, to stimulate you, and to prompt you to act and to accomplish whatever it is you've been gifted and equipped and called to do. As business owners, we are called to serve or to provide a service or to meet a client's needs. However, if we ourselves are not stirred up, listen, if we're in a place of frustration and that call comes in, how can we serve our clients? So again, if we ourselves are not stirred up, if we're not excited, if we're not encouraged, if we're not stimulated, if we don't do that for ourselves, our clients won't receive that. And we need to be able to serve our clients at all times with a spirit of excellence. So let's just think about this. Some people do have restaurants, but you are possibly sell food from call-in orders or curbside pickup. But if you're bottled up with frustration and that client comes to your business, what is that saying? So we have to be able to flow with whatever we're faced with. So one of the things I want to talk about is I want to give you some steps. And I wrote down a couple of steps, and some you're going to think are basic, but they're basic, but are we doing them? Okay? So number one, I want to encourage each of us that the second our eyes open, if you are a believer, just take a moment to say, Lord, I thank you for this day, because somebody did not live to see this day. If you're not a believer, wake up and speak to the atmosphere and say, I am thankful for yet another day. Gratitude. Let's be grateful, because we don't have to be blessed with another day, but we are. Next, that's number one. Wake up and just say thank you before you do anything else. Next, if you're a believer, I encourage you, and this has been my practice for I can't tell you how long, but for sure I know it's been as long as I've been in business. And I started my first business, as Angie mentioned, affordable property management and APM real estate services in 2004. And I made a commitment that I would not do anything before I read the Word of God. I'm not talking about a deep study. The first thing I do when I wake up as a believer is I pick up my phone. I use something called BibleGateway.com. I think it's BibleGateway.com. I know it's Bible Gateway. The extension might be a little different, but Bible Gateway. And it gives you a scripture for the day. And every day that scripture motivates me. It seems as if God had that scripture designed just for me. Okay, maybe you're not a believer. I want to encourage you, if it's not picking up your Bible, have a book next to your bed, a motivational book, that each day you pick up something that will motivate you. That's step number 2. So even during this COVID-19 situation, we still have to be motivated. We still have to be encouraged. 2 of the things, there's a scripture that I stand on, and just this past week, I wrote it down. In that scripture that it is, I have to speak this to myself. I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. COVID-19 can't stop me, and it cannot stop any one of you. When you put in your mind that you can do all things, you can press through. God gives us, again, he gives us the wisdom and the knowledge. He's not forgotten about us. He knew COVID-19 was going to happen. This isn't a surprise to him. But he said all things are working together for our good. I was talking to someone last night, and we were talking about this pandemic. And the person I was talking to said this. She said, I'm going to come out better on the other side. I'm going to take advantage of every government program, every economic opportunity, the ability to put off my mortgage and not have my credit affected by it. And I'm going to come out better on the other side. But what if her mentality was, oh, poor me, woe me, right? No, go out there and get what God has for you. I'm a witness of it. I was telling some women on Tuesday morning, I spent 12 years this year, every Tuesday morning from 6 to 6:20, women from all over the world call into a telling them, I said, I want you all to pray for me because I applied for that PPP loan program. And so first round, it didn't happen for me. And on Tuesday, I said, I declare that I'm going to be approved for that PPP loan program. What did I speak? I spoke life into my business. That day, God is my witness. Approximately 10:50 in the morning, I was doing a telephone consult, and the email came in. An email came in stating, this was the first one I got, that my PPP loan process was about to be submitted to SBA. So I'm like, Lord, thank you that was just the first part. It wasn't submitted, but it was going to be submitted. The other thing that I told the women on Tuesday morning is I'm going to be approved for it. Yesterday, God is my witness at 4, and I said I was going to be approved for it this week. By Friday, I spoke it into existence. Yesterday at 4:18 p.m., I got the email that my PPP loan application had been submitted to SBA. I received my SBA authorization and approval number, and I will have my PPP money within 10 days. No, woe me. What are you speaking into your life? What are you speaking into your business? Encourage yourself each day. So just continuing on, number 3, as most successful business people do, and here I can hear some of you now, I want to encourage you each day, 5 days a week, find a way to physically take care of yourself. Exercise. For some people, that's in the morning. For me, it works better for me in the morning to work out. I try to work out in the evening, but oftentimes I'm tired by a long day. Work out. Energize yourself. When you physically work out, I'm going to share some of the benefits of that. So what does a workout look like for you? You might say, Delanda, the gyms are closed. Who cares? I was watching some channel this morning, and it was an African-American business that was showing all of the substitutes that we can do to still physically stay fit. So if you have an elliptical machine, if you have a treadmill, it doesn't matter. You don't have to move fast. Just move. Successful people are healthy. If you're not healthy, you're not going to be able to operate in the spirit of excellence. So treadmill, elliptical machines, videos, it doesn't matter. Do something. Get moving. Here are some of the benefits for working out. It combats health conditions. It controls our weight. With conditions, well, here are some of the things that we as African Americans suffer with. Strokes, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, depression, anxiety, cancer, arthritis. Physical exercise helps reduce the risk of us having to deal with that. So why don't we do it? When you're frustrated, get up and work out. Get up and move. Walk around the house. Walk around the kitchen. Exercise, guess what it does? It improves our mood. When you exercise, you're like, dang, I accomplished something for today. Again, we're talking about changing our mindset, about being motivated every day. When we exercise with respect to it, changing our mood, it gives us an emotional lift. It boosts our energy. My husband used to always say what we have in us when we're not working out is a lazy blood. I'm tired. I don't feel like it. I don't have the energy to do it. How can we be successful businesses if that's how we're feeling? We don't want to get out of bed. I remember when I was running my affordable property management company, which I was blessed to be able to sell when I started my law practice. I remember working in this building, and another business owner, I got there every morning, opened at 9. And another business owner, he would get there at 11, 11:30. He would stand out in the parking lot and smoke cigarettes. And he would say, "Why do you get here so early? You run your business." President J. King said, we got to step up. As Black business owners, if I open at 9, I should be here before 9 o'clock. When people call me, I should be ready to receive their calls. I should be ready to serve. But exercising gives us that energy to be able to do that. It even puts the spark back in marriages, right? You don't have to be so tired all the time. It puts the spark back in marriages. So I want to encourage you to just write those things down. Another step is make a to-do list. When you wake up in the morning as a business owner, what's your plan for the day? What are you going to accomplish? Angie and I were talking about this yesterday, and I was sharing with her that if I don't get a chance to really write it down, I put my work in a stack. I give myself some type of direction for the day. And I encourage each of us, again, this is about motivating us to do better. Here's another one, as you're doing today, invest in yourself. If you're not financially able to do it, praise God. This webinar today was free. Thank you for investing in yourself. Not only today, not only where we started off this morning, but the rest of the afternoon. Remember, there's going to be some powerful speakers. We have the public information officer from the Small Business Administration who's going to be sharing with us today for free. We have to learn to take advantage of those opportunities. I have 2 sisters. One's an attorney. I have more than 2 sisters, but 2 that are working right now. And one of my sisters who's an attorney, she's been an attorney for 23 years. And just last month, she decided to start her law practice all over again. She decided to invest a couple $1,000s into just revamping, to getting automated, to not doing stuff the old way so that she can be better. I have another sister who retired from state service and started her second business, and she was talking about the equipment that she had to invest in so that she won't be a subpar business, but she can operate in the spirit of excellence. Let me just share with you all, and you know this. We have to work double as hard to get the same accolades, the same applause that our non-African counterparts receive. We have to work double as hard. Our spirit of excellence has to be at a whole different level. Truth is, I'm going to be honest. I don't want to come to your Black business just because you're Black, if in fact everything about you is subpar. If I come to I don't care if it's I referred a friend to a law office, and it was a non-African American law office, and she got there was urine around the building. The office was dirty, right? I don't care what you think your gift is, but that spirit of excellence, I expect to walk into a place and to receive excellent service. I don't care whether you're African American or any other race. And when you come to my office, I want you to expect that from me. I don't want you to see dirt. I don't want you to see me not being presentable. So I want to motivate you. Let's take it to another level. If we're restaurants, how does your bathroom look? Is it clean? Because that says a whole lot about you right there. When we come in, are your employees professional, right? All of those things. So again, as President J. King said, we can't expect things to be given to us. We have to work for it, but God has given us what we need to make that happen. So last thing about those steps I was sharing with you, write down a plan. Have a goal. I was talking to somebody, it doesn't have to be a 5-year goal. How about today? How about a goal for the next 30 days, what you want to accomplish over the next 30 days? Write some plans down and stick to them. Don't the place. I can think of businesses that, oh my gosh, they had the best food ever. And you all could probably think of some of them too, but they're no longer here. They weren't business savvy. Maybe they weren't paying the rent on the location that they were renting. So they can cook, but that wasn't enough to it. So let's balance our businesses out. Let's make sure that we do the things that we have to do so that we succeed. So in closing, I just want to remind all of us that we have gifts. Tap into those gifts, those talents, and those abilities. And remember to motivate yourself every day and to rebuke that spirit of frustration that does not result in positive results. Again, I want to thank Angie and I want to thank the rest of the team just for having me today. To all the attendees, I pray that I said something today, that you wrote down something, even if it's just one thing that will change the course of your personal life and your business. Again, thank you for having me. And I sincerely, with my deepest heart of heart, I sincerely wish you and your business and your personal life the very best. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you. Yes, I'm unmuted. Thank you. Very inspirational, very strong, very motivational speech. Talking about gratitude, speak your desires into your life, physically taking care of ourselves, making a to-do list, investing in ourselves, writing down the plan and sticking with it, and finally tapping into our gifts. It's a roadmap for success. Thank you very much for joining us and for delivering that from your heart and giving that to us.
All right, Angie, I have one question in the chat. I'm sorry to jump in here. This is Chris.
No, my bad. Sorry. Go ahead.
The first question in the chat is, how can we contact Delanda? So Delanda, if you want to give folks your contact info, either sure.
I will type it down in the chat, but just if anybody has something handy, real easy, two things, www.dkcolemanlaw.com. Again, that's www.dkcolemanlaw.com, and I will type that. And then the other one, my telephone number, is 916-896-0433, 916-896-0433. And let me share with you all, business is my major, right? Accounting is my major. That's not what I do for a living, but I'm committed to help you. So I do free 15-minute consults throughout the day. If you want to call and just get on my calendar, not about my legal services, but how I can be a blessing to you, how we can only talk if you're open to being encouraged. Because one of the things I can't even allow into my spirit is a spirit of somebody being negative and a naysayer. We get on the same page, and if I can be a blessing to you, I promise you I am here to serve you.
All right, we have one hand up. Zan, you have your hand up, or did I? Is it still up? Yep. Go ahead. You should be unmuted.
Okay. The question I have for her, everything she's saying I get, and we're trying to do, but as Black businesses, we're not excellent like everyone, or we can't exceed, or for what is expecting from us. I'm not saying we should expect less, but at the same time, we need to be a little bit tolerant with each other. I'm just saying what we do is judge, or I'm not saying she's doing that, but it's always good to support the people. I'm a restaurant owner. I'm sure there are I have connection with other restaurant owners, Black business restaurant owners. We're not perfect. I might be a little bit better than the other one. The other one might be a little bit better than me. But in the meantime, we have to understand, to get there, what you're talking about, to the excellent service, the cleaning, the excellent, all that, we need that support, whether it's money-wise, for Black businesses. We don't have something we inherited from our ancestors, or we might not have the best education like some, people have. But at the same time, we have to support those businesses, Black businesses, even if they're small, to lift them up, talk to them. If you see me, you come to my restaurant, my bathroom is not clean, you should be coming to me and say, look, how can I help you? If you do this, maybe you'll get better. If we have that kind of communication, then we will be able to help each other. And I know God is, he is bringing us for a reason. Right now we are in a different time, but so we have to make the most out of it to lift ourselves up. But for me, what I see from small businesses like me, and even smaller than I am, it's not because we have any choice. We want the best service. We have to train. For training, you have to pay. You have to pay the minimum amount.
Let me just jump in. Let me jump in really fast. So the only thing I will share with you is this: do the best you can do.
Yeah.
Do the best you can do. Be the best you can be, right? And so, and I want to clarify something. It's not that I am ever saying that the second I walk into a business and it's not perfect, that I'll never support you. That's not what I'm saying. But some people that is who they are, right? They don't have the spirit of excellence. And what I'm saying is reach for that. Don't settle for anything less. So, I want to be respectful. I was telling Angie earlier, I want to respect the time that all the attendees have, but I'm willing to, again, as long as you and I can talk on a positive note, I am here for you. If there's something I can share with you offline, there's no judgment for me. I had to fight for this, but I will not back down from what I said. We need to operate in a spirit of excellence, period. Doesn't mean we're perfect, but it's a spirit that we have, that we strive for that, right? We strive for it, right? All right, anyone else?
I have one more question, if you don't mind. Heidi Williams. Hi, Heidi. You should be unmuted.
Hi, sorry about that. Oh, I really wanted to kind of just go back to where Delanda was talking about the 4 chapters of our lives. I only got to chapter 2. I didn't know if I missed the other parts. So I guess, did I miss something?
So one of the things I shared, thank you, Heidi. One of the things I shared, so for me, say I was going to live to 100. My first chapter, birth to 25. Chapter 2, I mentioned, was 25 through 50. That was my moving and shaking years. And then I shared the chapter 3 for me, 25, say to 75. Now I'm not trying to move and shake like I did when I was under 50. Now, if I wanted to, I know how to, but that's not my desire. I'm in a position now where I'm getting ready to start receiving my retirement pension. In that 3rd chapter, eventually I'll start receiving Social Security, so I don't have to work as hard. But if we identify the chapters that we're in that 25 to 50 year range, that 2nd chapter, we should be prepared for the 3rd chapter, right?
Okay.
So after age 75, I don't expect to even be working anymore. Right? I love what I do. I can see being an attorney till age 75 years old. But right now, I don't want to work like, I don't want to pull 80 hours a week. I want to do 40 hours a week. I want to try to get out of here at 5 o'clock and go enjoy my husband. And I want to take as many vacations as I possibly can because I prepared myself for that.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Thank you.
But everyone's chapters are different.
Okay.
Angela?
Yes.
This is Jay King. I just wanted to tell Zion, I just spoke with Lynette Hall. You not only have you spoken with her, you've spoken with her twice, and you've changed emails with her. So you said you didn't speak to her, but you have spoken with her. And the program hasn't moved yet. That's why, and you have to follow the protocol that they have in place with the seniors that you want to feed. You can't just say, I want to feed 300 seniors, and then you have to give them the names, and the addresses and such, and you have to follow. They have to make sure that they fit into the guidelines of the program. Now the program is 75% funded by the state and 25% funded by the city. The reason why you can't just start and do it is because it's not even in place yet. They're still putting all the guidelines in place. So again, you have to be patient and let the guidelines get in place and let the program happen. But it doesn't just happen overnight because we want to feed people. We have to wait until all those things are in place. And then they have to do the diligence to make sure that the people that you guys want to feed, that they actually fit the criteria set by the federal government and the state, not by the city.
Yeah, but the problem I have with that, Jay, all that I understand. But the thing is, they haven't even reached out to me. They were, they had a passport.
They've spoken to you. You've spoken to them. There's nothing else for them to say to you right now because you have to do your part. They asked you to send them a list of the 350 people that you said you were going to feed. No, you didn't. No, you did not send the list.
This sounds, I'm sorry, this sounds like we might be able to handle this offline. This conversation can continue offline.
Yeah, I just wanted her to know that it was done.
Thank you. Chris, do we have more questions in the chat room?
No, we're out of questions.
And no hands up then. Okay. I want to say, first of all, thank you so much, Delanda. That was a beautiful address, and I felt it, or I feel it. I felt it. I felt it. I appreciate it. And I love it. I love that it's a roadmap, that there are steps that workable steps. I love that there are workable steps. And I also want to say that these conversations, they may be difficult at times. They may curve and twist and send us for a loop, but they are necessary and they are beautiful. We are blessed to be having them. We have in the past not had these conversations, and that is our problem. That's what's hurting us, is we haven't been having these conversations. We are the generation that is called upon to have these conversations, to speak our truth, to learn from each other, to express with each other, to grow with each other. And so I am sending out love and value to everybody on this call. Much appreciated. There are some, I do want to keep the questions. I want to give everyone a chance to ask questions that has questions. So if we can kind of bring it around to the questions quickly, but I don't want to stifle anybody's voice. I guess I just want to say I love what's going on. I love the dialogue, and I love keeping it moving. I am announce our next speaker, and then we are going to have a 10-minute break. And if we could, by show of hands, do people feel that we need a break now? Would you like the 10 minutes now and then come back to the speaker, or are we good to move forward? So the show of hands would be, let's take the break now. Okay, I'm seeing let's roll forward, and I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I need my glasses. COVID-19 plunged our world, and on a very devastating level, our businesses, into chaos and confusion. Talk about flipping the script. I called the SBA with a great sense of urgency and a certain amount of trepidation, and you may even be able to call it frustration. When I called them, a calming voice took my call. I blurted out, and I mean I blurted out my prepared request, citing who we were, what we wanted, why we wanted it, when it would be nice, and I even threw in an offer to help make it possible as a kind of a little dose of good measure, all without even taking a breath. I was just whoosh. I hit him with everything I had. He met my sense of urgency. He indicated to me that he understood and that he would respond with that same sense of direction, of moving, of purpose. And I appreciated that. And his voice was still very calming and reassuring. And so you know what I did at that point? I took a breath. Because I felt relieved, because I felt more confident. So Mr. Corey Williams has been nothing short of amazing, and exactly what we needed when we needed him. He is unquestionably on top of his game. He's knowledgeable in every way. Mr. Williams has been generous and accommodating with his time. He's been meeting regularly with Sacramento's Black businesses through weekly meetings hosted by Maximum Reach for Economic Equity, weekly meetings with the Chamber, and a number of other groups. He has been there for us so many times, on so many days, so many occasions, and so many think that I hate to see how he feels about webinars after this is all over. He has brought that same level of professionalism, knowledge, and expertise to every one of those meetings. So we are blessed, and it is an honor to have him join us today. And so without any further ado, I'm going to yield the floor to Mr. Corey Williams of the SBA.
Well, good afternoon, all, and good afternoon, Angela. And, I'm so thankful to be able to speak with you today and be a part of this joint collaboration with Maximum Reach for Economic Equity and also with the Chamber. Again, my name is Corey Williams. I'm a public information officer with the U.S. Small Business Administration's Office of Disaster Assistance. We're actually housed in Citrus Heights, and that we cover everything in our Field Operations Center West, everything west of the Mississippi. So not only are we handling COVID-19 with the economic injury, but we also handle any physical declarations such as wildfires, floods, hurricanes, the like. I'm really glad to, as a Black business owner myself, because I also have my own sports agency. And last week I wasn't able to participate because of some of the stuff I was doing for my 2020 NFL draft guys. But, it's a passion of mine to be able to work with our businesses and just make sure that the information is spread equally, as Jay and Angela and Alec, Chris, all you have alluded to. It just seems like sometimes our Black businesses are not given the focus that we need. So I want to make sure that as a spokesperson, I'm doing everything I can from the Office of Disaster Assistance to give the insight to the businesses, to let them know that there are programs out there, especially through the Office of Disaster Assistance with our Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. Now, if your small business is in a declared disaster area and has suffered substantial economic injury, you may be eligible for what we call our Economic Injury Disaster Loan. Now, with Governor Newsom declaring the entire state of California, all counties within the state of California are eligible for disaster assistance. And substantial economic injury means the business is unable to meet its normal actually meet its obligations and to pay its ordinary and necessary operating expenses. So due to COVID-19, and I always, I kind of like Delanda Coleman, I have a law school background. I'm a proud alum of Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern in Houston. And I kind of always use a but-for test, and especially when we're dealing with our Black businesses and when we think about different events, especially like, let's say we have, I saw a couple of hair care, businesses. So a lot of times they may be featured in different shows or different events. But for COVID-19, now that event has been canceled. Or let's say, with the restaurant business, there's situations where now that even when the economy may reopen, it may be 25% occupancy, or it may be limited to certain hours of the day. All that is but for COVID-19. So when we use that but for test, that means that was the reason that caused the economic injury for your business, your nonprofit, also your small agriculture co-op, small aquaculture business. So anything of the like, that's the whole purpose of the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, or what you'll hear commonly known as our EIDL or EIDL loans. Now, EIDL loans provide the necessary working capital to help small businesses until normal operations resume. Now, one of the things that we've noticed in the way that we set forth with the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program is that we want to give business owners at least 6 months of working capital, because we don't know how long this pandemic may last. Right now, we're pretty much in through the first 2 months of it, and we are seeing some states reopen, but we don't know what's going to happen when they reopen. They may get new cases coming, so that may cause them to shut right back down. So at this point, we really don't know what this impact is going to be. So that's why we really try to make sure we're doing everything we can to give at least 6 months of working capital to the businesses during this pandemic period. Now, the U.S. Small Business Administration's Office of Disaster Assistance offers the low-interest economic disaster loans to small businesses, small agriculture co-ops, small aquaculture businesses, and private nonprofit organizations affected by the loss of revenue due to the coronavirus. Again, that but-for test. Now, our administrator, Jovita Carranza, made the loans available in response to COVID-19. So one thing you've probably noticed on all the press releases is that our administrator actually dated our declaration date as of January 31st, 2020. So what this means is that your business had to been in existence at the time of the COVID declaration. So if your business February 1st or February 15th, unfortunately, it would not be eligible for the economic injury disaster loan. It had to be in existence as of January 31st. Now, EIDLs are available to small business and small agriculture co-ops, small aquaculture businesses, and most private and nonprofit organizations. Now, examples of eligible businesses would include businesses directly impacted by the disaster, businesses that offer services directly related to the businesses targeted in the declaration, and then other businesses indirectly related to the industry that are likely to be harmed by losses in their community. So to sum it up, the one thing with economic injury is that there may be contracts that may have been canceled or postponed due to COVID-19, a number of events that have been canceled. There have been drops in sales, employees that have to be laid off. These are all signs of economic injury. And again, using that but-for test, this is the whole purpose for the economic injury disaster loans. Now, as far as for the terms, especially for our Black businesses, there are two criteria that are used, and one is really relaxed, and I wanted to state that too. So we do look at credit history, and we look at repayment ability. Now, in regard to COVID-19, one of the things that was set to make repayment ability even easier is that all of our loans are amortized over a 30-year period. So what that means, whether you borrow $25,000 or the maximum threshold, which is $2 million, to be able to amortize a loan over a 30-year period makes it much easier for repayment ability. Further, with credit history, we've also relaxed the credit history requirements as much. Now, there is probably a minimum score that they do look at. So again, these are our federal taxpayer dollars at work, so we can't approve everyone for an economic injury disaster. But I will tell you, and we've had some success stories through MaxReach and through the California Black Chamber, where we started to see some approvals come in. Now, the interest rates for the small businesses is fixed at 3.75%. Again, that is over a 30-year period, and it's a 1-year deferment. So for a small business to be able to get the funds that they need, use them how they see fit to maintain the business, operate their normal operating procedures during this pandemic, and then not have to worry about making a first payment until May or June of 2021 is so vital to make sure our Black businesses and Black nonprofits are staying during this period. Now, also, nonprofits can borrow the same amount up to $2 million and that's a fixed interest rate of 2.75%. Again, it's no cost to apply, no closing costs, and even if you decide to pay the loan off prior to the 30-year period, there are no prepayment penalties. So again, the one thing I want to emphasize is that all businesses, this is the first time in our nation's history that we've had a major disaster declaration for all 50 states and all U.S. territories for this pandemic. Now, the one thing that has come across is that, and I do want to share, is that if anyone applied prior to March 29th, that was under an old system that we used, and you had an application number that was probably given starting with a 2. Now, if you ever want to check on that status of that loan, you would actually call our customer service center number, which is going to be 1-800-659-2955. Or you can email our customer service at sba.gov. And that's disaster customer service at sba.gov. Now, if you applied after March 29th, which is very critical because there was a box on page 3 of the application that would open up the business to be eligible for up to $10,000 of emergency relief funds, and that amount of emergency relief would actually be forgiven. So, but it's based approximately on the number of employees, and when I say employees, I mean W-2 employees, not 1099 independent contractors, because 1099 independent contractors are also eligible to apply for the economic injury disaster loan. So it's based approximately $1,000 per W-2 employee that would be eligible for the forgiveness portion. Now, again, if you apply prior to March 29th, that actual box was not available. But for anyone that applied after March 29th, then they should have an application number that starts with a 3. And one thing I want to do for all of our members on the webinar today with the California Black Chamber, with MaxReach for Economic Equity, is that if you want to email me your application number that starts with a 3, again, if you have an application number that starts with a 2, then I encourage you to call our customer service center at 1-800-659-2955. But if you have an application number that starts with a 3, then you can email me personally at Corey, Corey, .Williams at sba.gov. Now, 2 things: reference your application number, and then also please reference your participation in the MaxReach for Economic Equity and the California Black Chamber meeting today. I do get hundreds, if not thousands, of requests, and I try to make sure that when we have an event like this, that I want to give timely updates. So if you would like to get an update as of today, where your application stands, again, feel free to email me at Corey, Corey, .Williams at sba.gov, and please again reference your application number that starts with a 3, and then also please reference the webinar today with the California Black Chamber and MaxReach for Economic Equity. But with that, I know we'll probably have more questions, so I'd like to open it up for questions now.
Thank you, Corey. I have at least one question here. First one is from Heidi, which says, did you say there's no prepayment penalty for the EIDL loan, for the EIDL loan?
That's correct. All of our loans are directly funded by the U.S. Treasury. Now, one of the things that Adara is going to mention there's another program called the Paycheck Protection Program. Now, that's actually guaranteed by SBA, but those are funded by banks. So there may be some other fees that may be involved with the PPP program, which is going to be a little bit different than the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, where there is no cost to apply, no prepayment penalties, no closing costs. Pretty much everything is, because these are our federal taxpayer dollars at work, it has a little more flexibility also in the way that the funds are spent. So again, the one thing that you might want to consider, you do have the option to apply for both the economic injury disaster loan and the paycheck protection program, of which Adara is going to mention as well. So you may want to find out what's going to be the best fit for you as a business owner and what gives you the best support financially to keep your business sustained.
All right, and Heidi says thank you. I have a hand from Zion.
So my question for you, Corey, I know we talked last time about this too, and you said to email you our information, the number, which, and you emailed me back saying they haven't processed it yet. It's the number, it starts with number 3. And it's been, I think last time we had a meeting, it was last week. So I still haven't heard anything from them. I applied for both, for a PPP because I have 15 employees. And I also applied for economic injury. And that I still haven't heard, even though they gave me the 3 number, I still haven't heard from them. I know you checked on them too. You said it was still in the process. So is there any way you can check it again, see where we at?
Definitely. Please email me again, reference today's meeting, because the one thing is, and again, as a federal government employee, there is no excuse. I just want to first say that. But this is the first time in our nation's history that we had so many people apply for this loan. We actually processed more loans in a 14-day period than we have done in a 14-year period with the U.S. Small Business Administration. So the one thing I will ask you to do is be as patient as possible. But I understand as a small business owner, a restaurant owner, that you need the funds. So if it requires checking every couple of days with me, I'm more than happy to check into that. But definitely send me an email again with your application number and reference today's meeting. I'll give you a real-time update of where it is standing with the economic injury disaster loan.
And the other question I have for you is it like, according the way I see it, the bigger businesses getting first, and then the middle businesses, and people like me, probably with 15 employees, imagine those people who are just 3 employees. And I believe that as a small business, I think it should have been over or the other way around. They should be giving small businesses who are suffering before they close down. Imagine if I am suffering for having 15 employees, imagine the other restaurants and businesses with only 4 or 5 employees. But the way I see it, it's like benefit the big people, whether it's economy injury or the PPP, they benefit the big people first, and then it goes accordingly. So as usual, Black businesses like me and other businesses are left, we have the leftovers. So how do we make sure that is not happening? Especially with the Small Business Administration.
Yes, that's a great point. The one thing that I will mention that's a little bit different is that with the PPP, since that is, kind of run by the banks, one of the things that they're going to do, they're going to look at their big bank accounts to try to keep those sustained. That's why you saw stuff in the media with Shake Shack, you saw stuff in the media with Ruth Chris and different things like that. But one of the things that did happen this week, and I thought that was really awesome for the PPP program, is that they actually closed the portal, I think it was Wednesday, I want to say, where only the small banks were eligible to apply for like an 8-hour period. So what that did, that allowed those small businesses and small banks to really focus on some of the smaller businesses in their community that were impacted. Now, in regard to the economic injury disaster loan, most of the time a Shake Shack and also the Ruth Chris situation, because they would have passed our statutory limits of $2 million, you probably haven't seen as much of that in regard to them getting loans with the economic injury disaster loan program. So this is truly focused on trying to make sure our small business owners are getting the funds. Now, we did have, just to let you know, we did have a lapse in appropriations. So that lapse in appropriations, when the new legislation was passed last Friday, that may have caused a little bit of delay, because not only did we have to shut down the portal, but we also had to make sure the funds are in place to continue to fund the Economic and Disaster Loan Program. But now that the legislation's passed, even though the portal hasn't been open, what they're trying to is those people who have applied during that period. So hopefully that will allow us to get to your application sooner than later. And again, feel free to email me after this meeting, and I will have you an update before the end of the day. I promise you.
Thank you, Corey. Actually, this is Chris. So I don't see any more hands up, and I don't see any more questions in the chat. I actually have a couple of questions, so maybe I'll take the moderator's privilege here, or one of the moderator's privilege, rather. One, you're talking about data, and these are going to be from the advocacy perspective. So answer as best as you can, right? But just following up on the data question. We have been hard pressed to find any real data in terms of how many of the loans that have been out already have gone to Black-owned businesses from EIDL or from PPP rather too. And so one is, do you know of any? Is that data forthcoming? Are you guys collecting that data as these EIDLs go out? What do you know about how much of the EIDLs have gone to Black businesses so far? And then I'll just throw the other one at you so you can answer them both together here. The second question is, some of us advocates, we are busting our butts to, and breaking down the walls of, the legislators' offices now, right? And we get questions about, what should these legislators do? And so the question I have for you is, I know there have been some technical issues with the processing of the loans. It seems, I think earlier this week, the applications weren't even, or the so the portal wasn't even open to accept applications from what I understand. What kind of, or could there be any additional resources that you could use in the SBA to help make this go better, so that when we're advocating to the legislators, we could say, hey, listen, SBA and Corey's office needs an extra, X amount of dollars so that they can get these loans out. Could you use anything?
Both of those questions are outstanding questions, Chris. And so to answer the first question, so whenever an applicant goes to the Economic and Disaster Loan Portal, which is located at COVID-19 relief.sba.gov. On that site, they have a breakdown of the state-by-state breakdown as far as, and not only for the amount of EIDL approvals, but for the EIDL advances. Of course, the EIDL advances is what's forgiven. So that actually shows, I think that one was as of like a week and a half ago, I want to say. Now, in regard to the Black businesses, that's one thing that I will run up to my management to see how much of these funds have gone to not only our Black businesses, but my minority-owned businesses in regard to helping them out. Now, I don't believe they publish that information, but that's definitely something I will ask my supervisors to get that information. I'll try to get it hopefully maybe by the next meeting. Second,
thank you.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I mean, that's a great question. And then in regard to the second question, what do we need? We need more staff, and we're always hiring more staff. That's for sure. In fact, we are hiring local hires for our for loan officers, customer service representatives. So anytime we have large-scale disasters, and this is probably the largest disaster in our nation's history, I would argue that I think we've already far exceeded numbers for Sandy and Hurricane Harvey. I think during Sandy, we loaned out like $11 billion. I believe for Hurricane Harvey, we loaned out $3.4 billion. So I would probably, again, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I would probably venture to say that we have far exceeded both of those disasters combined. So in regard, we are hiring a number of local hires, but as far as a policy standpoint, for me, we don't usually comment on legislation and comment on, because, again, I'm not totally happy with who's in our head of our government. I'll just say that. But again, I can't comment on different legislative efforts. But I will say that through the legislative efforts that with our Congress trying to approve the CARES Act, and approving the CARES Act, and then coming back and realizing that small businesses needed more money, even more money, to fund the Paycheck Protection Program and fund the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. So I think that has been vital. And I think that overall that, the more voices we have to kind of keep stimulating, and of course working with the Congressional Black Caucus and different things to try to get more funds. Again, but from a policy standpoint, I usually don't really comment, but I know that definitely Congress is doing everything they can to try to keep up with the needs of the business community.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. We actually have a couple other questions in the chat. I'm going to try to combine them into one more just for you here, Corey. First part of the question is, this is coming from Heidi Williams. As far as the advance, so this is the EIDL advance, is that taken out of the loan amount? So that's the first part of the question. And the second part of the question is coming from Kiara, which is, are there any funds set aside for micro businesses with 1 to 10 employees?
Great questions on both. So in regard to the EIDL advance, one thing you've probably noticed in some businesses that have already received their EIDL advance is that comes actually in a separate, pretty much, because that is actually the forgivable amount of the loan. That's actually in a disbursement of the loan package. That's how we're able to delineate the fact that part of the loan will be forgiven versus the actual loan that they will sign documents for. That's going to actually be a separate, and that won't be dispersed until there's documentation that will be signed for that. Now, in regard to the micro businesses, with the SBA's program with Economic Injury Disaster Loan, we cover employees up to 500, from 1 to 500. I can't really say we have a specific focus on a 1 to 10 employee sect of the small business community. But now outside of COVID-19, what I will say is that we have good relationships. Well, we have our district offices, and there's a district office right in Sacramento. It's actually in Citrus Heights, housed with our Office of Disaster Assistance, that can help for Banchen and different programs that may, even government contracts. Now, again, that's going to be in relation to trying to expand your business. It wouldn't be related to our Office of Disaster Assistance. That's why it's critical for our program that your business had to be in existence as of January 31st, 2020, which is when Administrator Carranza actually declared the COVID declaration.
Thank you, Corey. And actually, I did miss one question from Delanda, and I want to make sure that Delanda's question gets in here. And it's to please clarify if receiving an SBA number from our PPP application means that our PPP application was approved.
Great question. So that's going to be one for Adara, because I'm the spokesperson for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. Now, the one thing I will mention, that if you got that, if the bank contacted you and they asked for funding instructions, most likely that means that that you're close to getting a disbursement on the account. But I would probably rather defer to Adara on that one to answer that question in regard to PPP.
Right on. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you for that. Appreciate you. Angie, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Williams, thank you so much for coming on board, bringing this candid information, delivering it straightforward, being willing to work with us and answer all of our questions. You are a blessing, and we appreciate having you here. I know there were a lot of other questions still in the chat window. A lot of people want to talk with Mr. Williams. He did give out his email address, and also we have been very fortunate to be able to meet with him on a weekly basis. Don't have a meeting scheduled at the moment, but if you would let us know if that's something you want to make happen within the next, well, I don't know his schedule, but I will check with Mr. Williams ASAP and find out and get some and see if we can get something scheduled with him. He has been very accommodating in the past. I have no reason to believe he wouldn't accommodate us again. So we can. I see that there's a lot of questions, and we something to help make that happen. In the meantime, we are going to take a break. We have all been sitting here for a little while now, and you may want to go to the refrigerator and get a cup of water, or take a personal break. So I want to give us 10 minutes. We are a little bit behind schedule. I forgot to show you me. So we are a little bit behind schedule, but about 10 minutes. I think that's not too bad considering the magnificent information that we've received today. So I don't feel too bad about that, and I hope that you guys are okay with the schedule we're on. Like I said, we're going to take a 10-minute break. Everyone who's in the conference today, if you can make sure you get your information to us in the chat window. Let us know what city you're from, your name and your business name. Again, I want to thank the people who are moderating the room for us today, and I look forward to back with you guys in about 10 minutes. Please don't be late. Thank you. Adara Phillips is an accomplished and recognized accountant and community activist. She is the owner and director of Zip Business Services. She earned a bachelor's degree in business administration from the National Hispanic Union in San Jose, after which she went on to earn her master's in accounting at St. Mary's College in Moraga, California. Got Ms. Adara Phillips our way. She was literally minding her business, literally minding her small Black business, business services. She was compiling data on the CARES Act and making sense of all the details, the ins and outs, and the how-tos as a service clients that she had on her roster. That's the kind of accountant she is. She's the one who anticipates her clients' needs and moves proactively to meet those needs. She contacted us to volunteer her time, her expertise, and her services to help the rest of her community the same way she was helping her clients. And that's exactly what she has been doing, serving our community with the same level of professionalism, urgency, knowledge, and expertise in what used to be her free time. I don't think she knows what free time is anymore. So after this, we're gonna just make her take a couple days off and make her get away and do some fun things. She is a blessing. She has been a blessing to us, and I am just thrilled, honored to introduce Ms. Adara Phillips. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction. Can you guys all hear me?
Yes.
All right, just want to make sure, because sometimes I have my Google mute on. Okay, so hi everybody. As Angie said, my name is Adara Phillips, and I'm here to talk to you guys, kind of pick up where Corey left off, and talk to you about some of the other financial solutions that have come apart for COVID-19 as part of the CARES Act. I have a couple of slides that I'm going to go over with you. I try to guess where Corey's going to leave off and where I'm going to pick up. So I'm hoping I'm not duplicating any of the stuff that he goes over or some stuff with you. I just think that sometimes it's easier to see it. I'm going to go over a lot of numbers, a lot of facts. I have some websites for you. I just want to show not only what's going on, but a little bit of how to navigate. Okay. So information in this presentation as final or authoritative. I can honestly say this from experience. These laws and acts and guidelines are very fluid. These are constantly changing and being updated every day. For the last month since the CARES Act was passed, I honestly wake up every morning and I look up to see what today's update is, how the law changed today. If the laws and the regulations that applied yesterday apply today, because I have to be able to alert, all the people that I'm helping. So you should consult with a financial professional and discuss your individual concerns. Each situation needs analysis before specific advice can be given. I'm going to give you an overview of what's going on, but I'm not going to be able to exactly what, how you should treat your situation until I actually would have some time to talk to you one-on-one, because every situation is different. One company, the EIDL might be a really good solution for them. Another company, the PPP might be a really good solution for them. Another company might be able to get a bridge loan. It just depends on your situation. So we would actually need to talk about that. And this is just a little bit about myself. As Angie said, I have a master's degree in accounting, a bachelor's in business administration. I've been an accountant for over 20 years. I've worked as an accountant. I've been an auditor for the government. And then I do tax, and I also do business consulting. Worked in lots of different industries, manufacturing, news, media, advertising, retail, restaurants, service-based businesses, nonprofits. I'm pretty well versed on working with a lot of different industries. So I will use all of that that background when I try to help people. Because if I've worked in your industry, especially, it makes it a lot easier when I'm talking about this stuff, because I might have, some inside knowledge as far as how the operations and finance work in your business. And so I can help you make those decisions. The first thing I want to go over are the business loans that are available to businesses right now. So the loan I'm going to spend the most time talking about is the Paycheck Protection Program. When I first started talking about this, nobody knew what it was. Now it's been all over the news. So I'm pretty sure that people might have a somewhat of an idea of what the Paycheck Protection Program is. But I've also spoken to some people who are applying for it and didn't really know for it. So I just want to go over it really briefly. The Paycheck Protection Program, its main purpose is to supplement your employees' pay for 8 weeks. The main purpose of this program is to keep employees off of unemployment. So the government has come up with a program to help business owners cover their employees' payroll, whether they're working or not working, for 8 weeks. Now, when this was first implemented, which was March 27th of this year, that's when the first part of the CARES Act, this part of the CARES Act passed. They were saying that the government was going to open back up by Easter. I'm just trying to give you a time frame. So they were saying the government was going to open back up within like 2 to 3 weeks, and they were giving people 8 weeks of payroll cost. Since then, it's already been over a month, and we know that we might be closed down for another month or two. So when I said this stuff is constantly changing and fluid, this is just, let me tell you that these programs were initially started when we thought this was only going to last for a couple of weeks, okay? So in addition to the Paycheck Protection Program covering your payroll costs for 8 weeks, it's also supposed to help with the cost of the interest portion of your mortgage, your business leases or rent, and your utility payments. Okay, and then the covered period for this loan is February 15th to June 30th. As Corey had mentioned, the EIDL, their date is as of January 31st. So for the PPP, we're looking at a period starting February 15th. So the PPP is for businesses that were in business February 15th or before. If you went into business on February 16th, you would not qualify for the PPP, okay? And then the covered period, they said, was from February 15th to June 30th. We're now finding that the June 30th is the cutoff date for the loans that are currently being issued, but it might be a fluid date because it's supposed to be 8 weeks and we're now in May. So if you don't get your loan until like next week or the week after, 8 weeks is going to put you into July. And so that would have to. Now this loan is available for businesses with 500 or less employees. It's for small businesses and nonprofits, veteran organizations, tribal businesses, sole proprietors, independent contractors, and the eligible self-employed. Those would be like the eligible, like I would say gig workers, I guess. But we're finding now that some of the small businesses that are receiving the PPP aren't so small financially. And 500 is a big number when you're talking about employees. But that's another whole nother discussion. The thing about this loan, the key thing about this loan, which makes it very attractive, is that this loan can be fully forgiven if used for payroll, mortgage, rent, utilities. When I say forgiven, I mean that you will receive a loan and you receive the loan through the bank. And then once the 8 weeks have exhausted, I believe the ruling now saying, it says like within 3 months, the bank will contact you, or you can contact the bank and request forgiveness so that you will not have to repay the loan. And at that time, you would have to turn in documentation showing that you use the money, those qualified expenses. And if patient is okay and the bank approves it, then you will not have to pay that part, the loan back, okay? The way that it's set up, the distribution is set up, is 75% of the money received is supposed to go towards your rent. The other 25% can be for the mortgage lease. The loan payments are deferred for 6 months from the loan origination date. There's no collateral or personal guarantees required, and there's no fees from the government or the lenders for applying for this loan. Okay, the maximum loan is $10 million. And the way you calculate the loan is you calculate your average monthly payroll cost. Payroll cost includes like your cost for health insurance, all of your payroll costs. It doesn't include your payroll fees, but it's the payroll costs that you're paying for your employees. And so there's an actual calculation for it. You can't just like open up your ADP or your paychecks report. Actually, ADP and some other payroll processings, they have specific PPP reports where they're pulling out the numbers and adding in the other numbers that you need. But I would suggest that most people actually speak to someone or read up on the rules, the detailed rules as far as how to calculate your payroll costs, because it's not just taking your bottom line of your payroll. There are some things you can add in, and there's some things that need to be deducted. And you're going to calculate the average payroll cost. You're going to times that number by 2.5, and that's going to be the amount of the loan that you are requesting. This isn't a loan where you can just go in and say, oh, my payroll is usually about $4,000, so can I get, $12,000? No, you have to show it in documentation, and the amount isn't something that you can request. The amount is just 2.5 times whatever the proven payroll costs are, okay? There is more documentation on this, and it's on the U.S. Treasury website as well as the SBA website. There's links to this. I will post these slides. They're in a share drive. I will put this specific slideshow in a share drive so that people can access it. Sometimes I think this is easier because I have the links on the slides, so you can click on the links and just go to that website if you have any more questions. Now, I want to go over something because I did say that this is very fluid and that the information is changing. And I want to give you guys an example of what's gone on this week. So since this second wave of the CARES Act was passed on the 24th, there have been quite a few changes coming out. And I just want to give you an example of some of them that have come out and some of the rules that are coming out. I know that there's also been a lot of frustration as far as people in their PPPs, or we've seen those, those articles and news coverings of, Shake Shack got 10 million, or Ruth Chris got, I think, like 20 million, or the Lakers got 7 million. And I even saw something, AutoNation got 77 million, right? How did AutoNation get 77 million if the cap is 10 million? First of all, a corporation can have various sub-corporations or various segments. So you can apply if a corporation has numerous affiliates, you can apply for every EIN. So if you have several different parts of one business and each one has their own EIN, each one was applying for the PPP and receiving the PPP. I saw things that like some of the hotels were getting like over $100 million because the hotels and restaurants were able to apply for each specific location. And so what happened there was, say if it was, I'm just gonna give you like the Hilton, and they have like a Hilton, like Hilton has like Embassy Suites, and then Hilton has Hilton, and Hilton has like, I don't know, like Homestead something. They have all these different hotels, but they're all under the umbrella of Hilton. They all can individually apply as long as they have under 500 employees on each separate location. So it made it really competitive and kind of difficult for us smaller businesses, because I myself am a business owner, so I have, because if you look at it, the way that they also picked these out was the banks receive 5% of whatever the loan is as a commission. And so if Hilton comes in with the loan, or say the Lakers come in with a loan request for $7 million, and I come in with a loan request for $70,000, what is the bank going to choose to take commission on? A $70 million loan or a $7,000 loan? They were getting commission. So that's why we were seeing that a lot of the larger companies were getting it. Another thing that we were seeing is that a lot of the banks at the beginning were requiring business relationships. And they were not only requiring business relationships, but specifically business banking relationships. And a lot of smaller businesses, a lot of small Black businesses don't have business bank accounts. They do their banking through their personal bank accounts, which has caused a lot of problems. Luckily, with me, myself, my clients, and the people that I've been helping do things, even if I'm helping someone do their taxes, I'm like, you have a business, you need to get a business bank account. People surprised me this year when they came up to me and they bought me their stuff and they had a business bank account when I looked at their taxes. And I'm like, you listen, you got a business bank account. Little did I know a couple weeks later, this would happen. That has enabled them to be able to actually get PPP funds, getting their applications in first round. So most of the people I work with, they got their applications in first round. Now, it's a lot of the big banks are still requiring those business banking account relationships. Some of the banks also were requiring lines of credit. And so that either a business line of credit or a business credit card. And some banks were just doing preference for their clients first, because you have to think they have your information. They've already, if you have a business bank account, they've already verified that you have a legal business, that you have a business that is that's a legit business right now, right? Of course, this is money, and the people are looking at it like, hey, we can get money from the government. So people are, you know, there's people out there that are submitting for these that don't really have a business. So the banks are supposed to be verifying that the businesses are actual existing businesses, legitimate businesses, and verifying the payroll. And the banks already have your banking history, so they can see, like, if you have transactions coming out every 2 weeks or every month going to ADP or Paychecks or QuickBooks payroll, they can see those transactions. So they would know if you actually were doing payroll and so forth. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background of what's going on, because I'm going to go over some of those FAQs that have come out. And you're going to see these FAQs are dated after the bill passed on the 24th and after the original bill passed on the 27th of March, meaning that these coming out, like this one I'm going to read over right now, this one came out on the 29th, which is actually 33 days after the original bill was passed. And this is just the ruling that gives information on what to do about these big businesses that have been coming up and getting these large corporations that have investors that could sell stocks to get extra funding right now during this time. What to do about these people that are receiving the PPP. And this is FAQ number 31. If you guys want to look on the FAQ sheets in your time, look at number 31. This is clarifying that the borrowers must make a certification in good faith, taking into account that their current business activities and their ongoing operations and their ability to access other sources of liquidity sufficient to support their ongoing operations in a manner that is not significantly detrimental to the business is not available. So when people are applying for these loans, and I really, really, really want to tell people this, not all businesses are suffering right now. Some businesses might have a small inconvenience. You might have lost a client and picked up 2 more. You might have been in an industry where this is actually making your business boom, right? The grocery stores, yes, they're having to take extra safety precautions. But the other day I went to buy a carton of eggs and it was like $9. Raised their prices to cover those costs. So are they shut down? Are they really financially suffering due to COVID-19? Some may beg to differ that no, they're not. They're actually doing pretty good. They're one of the businesses that are open. Home Depot has lines around the building. I think they probably have more business now than they ever did before. So some businesses are actually doing really well right now. If your business is doing well, you should not be applying for a PPP. The reason you see a lot of these big companies turning the money back is because they have given them until May 7th to return the money. If they return the money, and if you received a PPP that you did not need, that your business was not experiencing current economic uncertainty, that your operations would not continue to exist without assistance, and you receive a PPP, they're giving you till May 7th to return the money, which tells me that after that, they're going to start holding people accountable for taking out funds and falsely making that certification of good faith, which means that I'm guessing there's going to be some kinds of fines or penalties going out. Okay. So you see all these people saying I'm refunding the money. They're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They had to the 7th, or else they're going to start looking into it. I'm going to skip number 36, which actually gives a definition of an employee. I'm going to go down to 39 because it refers back to number 31. 39 just came out like yesterday or the day before. And that's saying that the Treasury is now saying that they are going to audit all loans of $2 million or more. And they're also going to take other loans and start auditing them to make sure that those certifications of good faith are done. So in the week, they said you have till the 7th. And now a day or two ago, they came out and said, yeah, if you took over $2 million, we're auditing to make sure that your company needed this money. Other things that are going on is they're just defined an employee. The employees we now know are full-time equivalents. So if you have part-time employees, you need to look into the it and make sure you're not reporting that maybe you have 10 employees, but you actually have 5 full-time and 5 part-time, because in order to have it, you're going to have the same amount of employees on, or at least 90% of the employees as of June 30th. Another ruling I'm going to go over with you guys is the interim final ruling on promissory notes. So the ruling on what the banks need to put on a promissory note and how they're sent out to the borrowers, that came out on the 24th. As you guys can see, I myself had clients that received money. I believe they received money like on like the 15th or something. The rule of what needs a note didn't come out to the 24th. So I want everyone, I'm putting the links in here. The green, those are links to the documents. Please read the documents. And I don't even want to go over it in detail because it's changing every single day. And I just really want people to stay abreast of what's going on. Something that did just come out, I just saw it, was the IRS just ruled that if you receive a PPP, say you have $50,000 worth of payroll expenses, you receive a PPP to cover that, you get a PPP loan for $70,000, right, with your payroll and utilities. That $70,000 is not